Hello, welcome. Please come in. We've completed a Miracles Only run of the Dark Souls games, but now it's time to see how Incantations handle in Elden Ring. And I'm pretty excited about this run. Incantations are very strong in Elden Ring, realistically even stronger than sorceries, and there are even more of them. So I hop in, create my final beard. Was that the joke? Choose the Prophet for obvious reasons, and immediately jump to my death. Beard's feeling that drop now. Up past the tutorial and into Limgrave, and just like every Elden Ring run, it's time to spend nearly 2 hours getting set up for the game. Whee! First Grace and chat with Melina so I can level up and get Torrent for riding around. Grab the free Foulfoot from these inattentive sentries. Then grab a Sacred Tear and Wondrous Physic. Melina takes us to the Round Table Hold, and we will chat with Corin. He's the worst of our 2 possible incantation teachers. Briefly fight Anastasia because her drop is good-ish, but nah, I don't have the damage for this. On to the Putrid Avatar. It can, and does, one-shot me, but Catch Flame deals great damage, especially with how weak Putrid Avatar is to fire. And the boss gives a Flamecrack tier and some nice runes. This lets me buy a shield and level Vigor and Faith. Grab a golden seed on the way to Liurnia, over to the Artist Shack, and it's time to die to this knight a bunch. He drops a tome for some incantations I really want, but I'm weak enough so far that this goes, not great. Let's bail and come back later. Turtle Pope is our actual best incantation teacher. Here, I talk to Arena because I want her dead. I want to help her. Another Golden Seed in Weeping Peninsula. Faith-boosting Crack tier, and another Sacred tier. And while we're here, we might as well kill this Erd Tree Avatar. And more Sacred tiers. Another fight with Near-Use to get to Patches. And Patches actually kills me. That's mortifying. Second attempt works out. I elect not to kill him this time, mostly because I know how unflattering those leather pants are. Buy some Foul Feet, and the recipe I'll need to make more later. Into the Mistwood and kill the Blood Knight in Fort Height. I really just care about the Dectus Medallion, but the Knight insisted. Back to Lightning Knight to die again. Sir, one way or another, I'm getting my Lightning Book. But, let's go back to our run through Caelid, shall we? Back to Round Table briefly to upgrade my basic seal to +3. Gonna want those extra deeps to get the next Putrid Avatar down. Which, yes, can also one-shot me, but its attacks are mostly predictable and it's very weak to fire damage. But I do keep dying, so it's time for a diversion. It takes another couple tries, but the Knight Cavalry can be tricked to fall off this bridge and die. Come on, buddy. I believe in you. Thank you. Oh crap, I forgot to eat my Foulfoot. But that lets me boost my Vigor and Faith. Back to Lightning Boy! Finally, my prayer book. I give it to Turtle Pope, and he can now teach me Lightning Spear. And with that, it's time to kill a dragon, which is quite easy because Lightning Spear is super strong, chargeable, and has a good range for killing dragons. This gives me a Dragon Heart. A brief run to the Dragon Communion Church gives me Rotten Breath, because we love rot. And back to the start to use the Stone Sword keys I chose as my starting gift to head into the grave. Running through here gets me the Erd Tree Favor Talisman, and more importantly, the Dragon Communion Seal to make my breath weapon stronger. And we're ready to fight the first actual boss of the game. First is Margit, whose moves aren't too bad to dodge. Catch Flame is also dealing very nice damage, and he can be rotted with the lovely new Rot Breath. Margit is dead, it's time for some random collections. Let's kill this Tibia Mariner, which would be easy if I had any holy incantations, but lightning will do. Mariner dead, I can grab the Turtle Talisman and immediately head back to Stormveil Castle. The back path has nothing I want, so time to storm the gates, which goes basically as well as ever. Stone Sword key this door to access the Godslayer Seal and the Godskin Prayer Book. Both of these will be very useful. But I'm short on spell slots, so let's go do a turtle puzzle to get a memory stone, and it's into the Godric fight. Much like many bosses, Godric can be rotted, and despite breathing fire, he doesn't seem to be resistant to it. Always nice to leverage the sheer variety of incantation damages against bosses. Godric dead, we head back to Round Table to purchase some proper armor from the Twin Maidens, then buy Black Flame from Turtle Pope. Time to actually fight that second putrid avatar. I still get one shot by any attack, but my damage is much better now. So I only need to be good at dodging for a comparatively short amount of time. Back to Liurnia, and I pick up the Giant Flame Prayer Book. I don't actually think I use any of these spells, but it's on the way. Horse cheese my way up to another Memory Stone, and let's just, kill another avatar while we're here. Okay, time for setup phase 2. Pick up Radagon's Soar Seal, because I honestly probably should have grabbed it earlier. Then some Light Bird Genocide to collect their feet. Then to Castle Morn, mostly because we want to get this boy to Arena. But we might as well kill this Beastman while we're here. He is both very staggerable and can be rotted, so... Oh no, Arena's dead. The tragedy. Up to Bellum Highway and grab another Sacred Tier on the way to the Grand Dectus Lift. But first, time to bring down the Sauron Tower. Mostly to get Howlow's Shabriri, but we also need stuff beyond here. Specifically past the Frenzied Flame Village to get Frenzied Burst, because sometimes you need a flame railgun. Grab another Sacred Tier and fight Vaig, mostly because I need his eye for later. Then grab this Shabriri Grape. Hi, Hieta. Glad you could make it. Here's an eyeball. Ooh, 2-finger talisman and another eyeball? Here you go, Hieta. Kill Arena's dad for another eyeball grape. Hi, Hieta. Would you like another eyeball? Try not to vomit. Okay, Bellum Church, and Hieta needs the specialist eyeball of them all, which, fine, here you go. Let's grab the Golden Scarab before I forget for an entire playthrough again. And I die several times to rot. Okay, let's grab Flame Cleanse Me, because I should have grabbed this earlier. Back to the Rot Cave, and turns out this fight is much easier when you aren't being eaten alive by super poison. Would you believe we're not done with setup stuff yet? Because we aren't. Head to Garank and give him some Death Root. This gives us the Clawmark Seal. I could have gotten more Death Root throughout the playthrough to access some nice, fun, physical incantations, but spoiler for the video, I did not do that. Into the mines to get the first Smithing Stone Bell Bearing. Being able to buy Smithing Stones can be pretty useful. I mean, it kind of isn't in this playthrough because I really only need to upgrade one seal, but, in other playthroughs it is. But buying some stones means upgrading my Godslayer seal to +8. Time to grab a key to the Academy. I normally don't bother killing this dragon because I have enough dragon hearts from killing Grail, but no bleed means no Grail cheese, so let's legit kill this dragon with lightning spears. And another dead Erdtree avatar, this time to get the Magic, Holy, and Lightning boosting Crack tier. So now I can boost all my elemental damages. Finally take the Dectus Lift to Altus, and it's time to gather more stuff. Some more golden seas from the convenient tree, then a brief trip into a cave to grab the second Smithing Stone Bell Bearing. More Smithing Stones means my Godslayer seal can be boosted to +12. And a quick horse sprint means I'm ready to hop through the gates of Liurnia. Alright, even more setup complete, and it's time to get another Great Rune. The mages at the Academy gates are actually much easier when you can blast them with lightning from the base of the stairs. The run through the Academy grounds is very familiar, and it's not too bad. And I did briefly violate the challenge by hitting this dog with a shield, because I accidentally two-handed it. Whoops. Okay, time for some Red Wolf. I would love to rot the wolf, but that ended up not working. Good thing Dragon Breath at least deals an unreasonable amount of damage. Between that and some Black Flame, it ends up being a pretty easy fight. I don't even have to play well. Moongrim does succumb to rot and dies to a madness proc. See you next time. Then Renala, who I feel can be very easy or very difficult depending on your build. And this time, she's pretty easy. I decide to try and rot her in phase 1 to get that passive damage while she's in her bubble. I'm honestly not even sure if it works that way, but no rot proc means I just wasted a bunch of FP for no reason. Phase 2 is just try to be in melee as her attacks are easier to dodge while throwing Black Flame. I do die on my first attempt, mostly because I wasted so much FP. Second try I don't waste my FP trying to rot her in phase 1, instead just burn her down with Catch Flame. Then in phase 2 I do some quick movement to rot her in phase 2, which goes much, much better. Now time for some more errands. Might as well kill X-Ikes by throwing Black Flame into their face, which deals just so much damage. Rot Breath is my move, buddy. Hop around Fort Gale and grab Flame Grant Me Strength. Head back to Round Table Hold and buy some incantations I'll never use from Corrin, then to Enya for another talisman pouch. I grab some more golden seeds on the way to my next destination, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. To get there I have to weave past some giants, and then die basically immediately. And it's time for a very swingy boss fight. Good thing it spends several seconds getting its weapon ready, as this gives me space to deal huge damage and inflict rot. It still takes more tries than it really should. I'd love to charge up my spells, but the Tree Sentinel's attacks are just slightly too fast for that. But even at normal casting, Black Flame deals very good damage. Draconic Tree Sentinel dead, we can finally access Leyndell. This area is pretty big, with a lot to explore, most of which I can just ignore. I do pause briefly to kill this avatar, it's weak to fire, and it drops a Lord's Rune. Melina bails, so I take a side trip to our favorite mirror boss, Godfroy. He drops Godfrey's icon, which boosts the damage of my charged spells. Then up a nearby hill to kill this Tibia Mariner for reasons? I guess, why am I here? Grab another golden seed up the road and keep on forward to reach this fort. Things are going great here. Some murder gets me the Fire Scorpion talisman. More fire damage for less damage reduction. Worth it. Still running errands, and we'll go ahead and kill the Magma Worm. No real reason, but basically free souls en route to our actual goal. And that is Anastasia. We fought her briefly elsewhere in the challenge, but we've leveled up more than she has. Near the spawn, we get Golden Vow. Everybody loves Golden Vow. Circle more around Mount Gelmir to fight the Ulcerated Tree Spirit. It kills me once because it explodes when I'm not paying attention, but the second try goes much better. Wait, what am I doing here? That's the problem with Elden Ring's open world. In a challenge run where exploration isn't a thing I care about, I get lost and just doing random stuff. Oh well, into Volcano Manor and into the dungeon proper. Kill some enemies and lightning smote this Omen killer. Back in this nook, we can grab the Erd Tree Seal. This is the best seal in the game at higher faith levels. I head back to EG to get the seal to +4, then back to Volcano Manor, because we can get more Somber Stones here that we really want. And that starts with the Godskin Noble, which isn't too bad. Cough. I said, not too bad. The Noble can be rotted and really isn't that durable, and when its rollout chooses to behave, it's actually not a terrible fight. Through the stone key door and do some cage parkour. I said cage parkour. This gets us our Somber Stone 7, which gets our Erd Tree Seal up to +7. A brief trip to Dragon Barrow gets me the Somber 9. All that combined gives me an Erd Tree Seal +9. In theory, at equivalent level, Godslayer Seal is better until my faith reaches mid to late 60s, but because Erd Tree is a somber weapon, I can boost it up to near max level way sooner. It will be our only meaningful seal for the rest of the run. All that random setup done, it's time to return to Leyndell proper. Killing some duelists up this hill gives the Ritual Shield talisman, and we can buy Discus of Light from Corrin. A quick route run gets us to Godfrey. He is weak to lightning, so this goes quite well for me by just spamming lightning spears between his attacks. Up the stairs, and it's time for Morgott. He's quick and offensive as always, and cast time continues to be a little bit of a problem, but he can also be rotted and takes very good damage from lightning. The path into the tree is barred to us, so Melina gives us the next medallion. But first, let's head back to Stormveil to activate Godric's Great Rune for the free stats all over the place. Up the elevator and through the capital outskirts to reach the frozen north. The Black Blade Kindred is never a problem, and we take the road lift up to the proper mountain. In these ruins, we get another smithing stone bell bearing. Probably not needed, but better to grab it on the way than need to come back later. Continue to grab another Somber Stone's bell bearing and a Sacred Tear. Vike really didn't want to give us his armor in the dagger-only run, and he still doesn't want to here. But this time, I have Miracles and Nihilism a mile wide, and I want that fingerprint armor. The wrath inherent in it appeals to me for reasons I can't quite grasp. Okina wants to be a little jerk, but he didn't get the input reading memo to dodge my range spells. Kill him and grab the nearby Sacred Tear. Time for Fire Giant. This was a bit of a pain with daggers only, but Incantations should be able to wreck him, which is, optimistic. Don't get me wrong, Incantations are way better at this fight than daggers, but I think I've kind of forgotten how to really play this game effectively, because you don't really need to up to this point, and that frankly lazy gameplay really starts to show here. It gets me killed. A lot. Really more than is reasonable. Ultimately, I decide that trying to rot him in Phase 1 isn't worth it. It can work, but he'll cure himself when he dips into Phase 2. And while Rot Breath is great, it has a very high FP cost. Lightning Spear just does a better job in Phase 1, where he has an easy weak point to target. Once he's in Phase 2, he spends a good chunk of the fight more or less immobile, meaning I can much more easily get off a sustained burst of Rot Breath. Once he gets rotted, it's a lot easier to just sort of let the fight happen while he slowly rots to death. Victory! And all these souls gets my faith up to 67. Almost time to invest points in anything else. With Fire Giant dead, time for even more errands. First, let's go to Redmane Castle. Radahn can be rotted, and Lightning Spear deals great damage, so it's not too bad of a fight. Radahn dead, it's time to head down into the meteor site below the Mistwood. The Mimic Tier, despite having access to my full spell repertoire, can't really stand up to all the flames I have access to. But, as this amalgamation dies, I feel a pull. Back to Lanedale. No, below Lanedale. Rage and pain, wrath. It waits for me down there. I make my way through the sewers and pipes. I see the loss, see the things buried down here, the slugs and rats, the omen. Another illusion bars my way. Like Margit, Moog isn't here. He is hidden elsewhere, far from this place. But this illusion tries to stop me from reaching what lies beyond, and it fails, because there was never any hope it could succeed. Beyond, I find the gravesite of an entire people. Merchants cast into the dark, sealed within. This anguish, this suffering. It's so very familiar. Trapped in cycle after cycle of death and decay. I know this feeling. I bested kings, a dozen lords, seized the flame itself and stole a future to carve away here. But what have I found? Another world consumed by chaos, spiraling into despair? These aren't kings, they're demigods, but just as banal, just as broken and selfish. I reach the bottom. Hieta is here. She is here for me. She waited for me. Beyond those great doors are 3 fingers. I let them embrace me. I welcome it. Grant to me the chaos flame. Grant me frenzy. The flame burns in my core. It burns away Hieta and grants me the frenzy flame seal. With this, I have unlocked the great fire. With this, I can consume the world. Melina abandons me, but her role in this story is over now. All that matters, all that can matter, is bringing this tortuous existence to an end. Yellow flame in hand, it's time to head to the Forge of the Giants. Rather than burn Melina, I burn myself, and with that flame burns the Erd Tree. This grants me access to Farum Azula. Here, I immediately fall to my death because I'm not paying enough attention. I never really bother fighting this dragon, so let's do that since we have incantations. It goes not the best. I've basically forgotten how to dodge properly since I haven't needed to most of this playthrough. So despite the power of incantations, I do die several times. Dragons in this game aren't even that strong. Killing it gets me an ancient dragon smithing stone, which is completely useless to me. Lovely. On the way to my next boss, I grab the Ancient Dragon Prayer Book. This is perhaps the most important prayer book in this entire playthrough. This gives me access to Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike, easily the strongest attacking incantation in the game. It's not perfect, but its usefulness cannot be overstated. The Godskin Duo at this area's midpoint are a trouble as always, for a variety of reasons. I don't know if this is my least favorite boss, but certainly is in competition for the title. And while our new Lightning Strike can be useful here, the charge time reduces its effectiveness against these very aggressive bosses. Rot Breath can also be good, in theory, as both of these nobles can be rotted, but the two bosses are very aggressive, and the skinny Godskin moves a lot and is hard to hit enough to be worth it. Also, I love that after however many patches this game has gotten, the fat Godskin's roll is still this garbage. Easily my least favorite single attack in the game. Ideally, I'd hit both Godskins with Rot, but hitting both with Rot Breath while not getting killed is pretty tricky. And doesn't help that my vigor is still pretty low for this point in the game. I just like putting points in faith to maximize my damage. Damage good. Ultimately, victory comes from mixing in Rot Breath for damage over time, and Ancient Dragon Lightning Spear for dealing unreasonable amounts of damage very, very quickly. But we're far from done with Farum Azula. We run through the remaining areas, grabbing a few neat trinkets on the way. We also kill this dragon and grab the Somber Smithing Stone here. With this, we can finally boost our Erdtree Seal to +10 for maximum faith scaling. And now it's time for Maliketh, which is basically always a rough fight. He's aggressive in both phases, though in different ways, and while Rot Breath and Dragon Lightning Strike are both very good, they are not quick spells. Lightning Spear is actually quite quick and good, but it doesn't deal as much damage as I'd really like. So winning this fight really comes down to trying to find the spacing I need to get spells off, which he does not make easy for me. I'm also really bad at dodging his blade beams, and while there are things I could do to boost my damage and my durability, I don't really want to take the time to do them. So let's just pretend this boss didn't take me over an hour of repeated attempts, shall we? Maliketh is dead, I have the Rune of Death, and the Flame of Frenzy. It's time. Time to return to Lanedale and deal with the Ashen Capital. These last few bosses have been way more difficult than I'd expected. Gideon better not be... Yeah, no, he's actually easy this time. Unlike daggers, my incantations are more than enough to keep pace with Gideon's ranged nonsense. Alright, 3 bosses left. I'm underleveled, under-equipped, and I've had a whole run not having to really play that well to succeed. Surely this can't go too badly, right? So that's not a great start to the last sequence of fights in the game. Godfrey isn't even that difficult normally. It's not even a power issue, I'm actually just playing really terribly. It's been 2 months since I've had to actually play Elden Ring with any degree of competence, and it shows. My normal move 1 is to try and rot the boss, but while Rot Breath has great build-up, it's just too slow against Godfrey's offense. And while Lightning Spear's damage is good, it's not exceptional. And that's what I'd need to make up for just the terrible dodging I'm doing. But I've done this before. Dying and dying. Again and again. but I know what I need to do. Okay, time to really focus. Using buffs, I can get my lightning spears up to really good damage. This gives me a good boon to just deal enough damage against Hoaraloo so I don't have to do a good job of fighting him. And it's definitely an improvement, but it's not enough because I keep getting grabbed, moron. Okay, this is annoying and stupid. Lightning Strike is my best weapon. Let's just see what that can do. Hoaraloo isn't a very big enemy, but maybe, holy crap, that's some damage. Okay, well, that's a whole lot of time I wasted doing anything other than Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike, and that realization is all I need to bring home the victory. Hoaraloo is dead, and all that remains is Radagon and the Elden Beast. The yellow flame in the back of my head pulses. It's ready. I'm ready. It's time. This broken world, its degenerate structures. I shall cast aside all that divides, all that distinguishes. I bolster my strength. My faith is strong, my lightning peerless. But this time, I know there is no path forward. There shouldn't be a path forward. Flame, denied to me in Lordran, is my greatest weapon here. It consumes Radagon. It couldn't not. He is but another lie of this dead tree. And the Elden Beast, another manifestation of ancient will. This is my lightning. It consumes, it destroys. This false herald, this lie. I channel its own strength against it. Blessing of the Erd Tree, protection of a lord. These guard and restore me. And the moment comes. My lightning strikes true, the beast is destroyed, the path is opened before me. To mend the Elden Ring, to make this broken world whole. But no, I've done this before. I kindled the flame, claimed the throne. I'm done with false promises. I'm done with these petty lies. I took the frenzied flame. I claimed it as my own. I will not be a lord. I will not be a master. With this strength, with this flame, I will put all the world's troubles away, to burn away all that is. I am the voice of the suffering, the voice of the pained and wounded. I hear their needs, I know their sorrow, and I alone can end it. Let chaos take the world.
Lord of frenzied flame. I will seek you as far as you may travel. To deliver you what is yours. Destined death.
You can try.